Hello, this is Steven, and we are streaming to you live out of California, Texas, and Pennsylvania. Let's jump straight into the monthly contest. I believe, Adrian, you have selected a winner?
Yeah, we all selected it. And we have one winner this month who actually
Selected a winner?
who
A
did.
winner?
Sorry, for some reason my thing was streaming. It's creating
Yeah,
it
mine
was
too.
crazy. I muted it, but apparently you also have to pull down the slider for the volume.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
so yeah, that just happened to me.
Yeah. Clicking the button to mute it is not enough. Anyway, so we have one winner this month, but that winner wrote two spells that we want to show off, and the winner this month is Baldorian. And Baldorian wrote the first spell that Baldorian wrote is this one where you get to take over the little creatures, the croaker, dino, or whatever it's being called nowadays, and you get to run around as it. So you shoot out this orb, and then the second it touches one, you can go. So you can sneak around as this creature, which is a pretty intricate spell. Super cool spell. The second spell that Baldorian wrote was this animations in your spells. And this spell animates cool effects on the stuff, which is something that at some point we'll probably end up doing something similar to this, so that it's less complicated, but to do on the user end. But this is, I mean, just seeing these things happen like before we can make them, when our tool sets for making these things is much more powerful, is just awesome. So this is super awesome, and both these spells are. It's crazy how much stuff you can do in the game right now with the little that we've put into it at this point. So.
Yeah, these are super classy spells. By the way, I see in the forum someone says that there's some of their code was used in one of those. So if that's true, don't worry about it. We'll you can just ping us, and you can share also in the credit. So congratulations. Both of these are super classy.
Yeah. Totally.
So we will contact the winner and anyone else who pings us via the forum for distributing to you the, I believe we're giving out alpha keys. Let's jump into our what I guess we're calling our new vision. So Jason presented to me some concept art for a new vision for CodeSpells, and I haven't seen Adrian's implementation of it, but I like what I see in the concept art. So let's jump in, Adrian. I think you have a prototype to show us.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty far along. Like, the development has been a lot faster than we thought it would be.
That's always good.
I don't know. We really like it. It just simplifies a lot of stuff, and it just I don't know. I'll start that. I think it'll make a lot of things a lot easier and just give us much more power to do stuff that we wanted to do. So we'll start it up. Sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So you actually have a little avatar there.
Yeah.
Now, is that actually two? It's two arms on the avatar, right?
It's only one arm, so it's just the staff. So we've kind of eliminated the idea of arms at all. So it's much simpler.
No arms. Yeah.
I love it.
It simplifies the game, so you know exactly what's going on. Like, that over there is clearly a mountain. These are obviously trees, and you know, it just makes things a lot more clear to the player. And
yeah.
Now, Jason, I'm liking the sharp lines both on the land features and the avatar. Would you say that it sort of symbolizes the rigidity of the global capitalist hegemonic system, or something like that?
Kind of. I mean, I mean, everything that we we had done before was working, but it didn't really say anything, or it just was kind of your generic, wizard running around in a fantasy world thing. And this really is unique. Like the sky, started out when we had painted this really elaborate skybox and done all this really fancy stuff with a day-night cycle, and it just eventually I just was like, well, what if the sky's hot pink?
Yeah. I can see how
it's magical enough.
I'm just surprised no one's done that before, actually.
Yeah. It stands out in a way that
by
just doesn't really show up in other games. Like sometimes in games you look up and you see this colorful sky and it's just kind of confusing because you don't really care about anything up there, but it's just up there and it just it's too much detail.
I really
now this
put
avatar
a lot of time into the character animation.
Yeah, no, it looks amazing. All right. Okay, people probably think we're actually serious. There are some people out there who don't look at their calendars and don't know it's April Fool's, and some people are probably scratching their heads like, wait, are they serious? Okay, all right. So this is. I do have to give credit to Adrian and Jason for the April Fool's joke. Is amazing. But no, this is not the new vision for CodeSpells, so don't worry. There are actually some really cool artistic changes, though, and a new direction for CodeSpells that we do seriously want to.
All right, I'll close that. I'll close this ridiculous thing.
I really couldn't help it but crack up when I saw him wobbling around like that.
That was actually an accident. I didn't even intend for that.
So great.
Anyway, let me close this ridiculous thing.
It kind of reminds me of Tor.
It's same idea. All right, let me pull up the real version. Cool. So this is the more official version. We now have an option. We kept the old sandbox. It's slightly different, but we're gonna phase that out fairly soon. So right now we want to transition to the sandbox large. So I'll pull that up.
All right, so this is
we wanted to keep the old sandbox in there, but so that people could still have the stuff that they were building and playing with in there.
Yeah. So we are going to transition to this eventually, fully, and get rid of the old version.
So this is the new branch, and right off the bat, I see. I mean, there's a new character. So Jason, you want to say a word about the new character?
Yeah. This is a first pass on the character. There's still a lot of funny little things happening with the cloak going through the character and doing some funny stuff. So it's definitely a first pass. I will be rebuilding it probably several times in order to get it right. But we really wanted to experiment with a character that looked like it was wearing these big, heavy robes that, really just that you don't see too much in games. Kind of
yeah, the cloth is amazing.
A fully cloth character, yeah. So
there's a few issues with the cloth, but it's getting there.
It's getting there. So I think it's a good start, and also we did switch over to Unity 5, so their new cloth system is a lot better, and the new shaders are a lot better. So we'll be able to get a lot more out of this character, and just think it kind of also. It just looks and feels more like the concept art and feels like more like what we had intended from the start. So, unfortunately, our old pre-bought character has been shelved.
Yeah, at least for now. So is that glow that I see coming from the staff? Is there a glow, or am I?
Yeah,
okay.
There's just a little flare attached to the staff. I wanted to remake the staff, so. This is kind of going to be the basic staff that the character has for now, and then as we build more, we can roll them out.
Now
And the same thing with the patterns on the character and the different cloth effects. Like we might, I might make different variations on it. The colors are all completely changeable. So right now it's blue, but we could change the character to be whatever color we wanted because we're actually we're using the new standard shader in Unity 5, and we can switch around all those things on the fly, which is really fun.
And
so it just fits more in line with our original vision.
And I think night has fallen, actually, since we started. Is that true?
Yep.
Time of day?
Yep.
Now?
You can see some stars up there. You can actually see them moving as they go because our time of day is so short.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very, very fast spinning planet. You can see the stars spinning around. And if we get up high, we can see the sunrise. I'm also using a spell inspired by one that was made by our players. So we added a new block to Blockly that allows you to move the player. It's a very expensive block. In your game, you'll be able to make it as expensive as you want. Whenever making new game modes, you'll be able to set all that. So, but just for now, we set that to that. So in this case, when we create the orb, we set it fast, and when we hit something, we teleport to it. Or if we tap F on activate, it'll also teleport the player to the orb. So that allows us to move around the map faster, as the orb can move faster.
It's a very large map.
Stuff. Yeah, it's a huge map.
Now, I know we showed off the large map in the last update, but remind me, how big is the map?
It's right now it's 2,000 meters by 2,000 meters. So
yeah,
it's pretty big. We could make it much larger, but for now, this is a good size in terms of for what we have right now. It's a good size for exploration and for being able to manage everything that's going on. It's still it's big enough that it's going to be very difficult to know what's going on the map. But
is this a handcrafted or auto-generated landscape here?
This was automatically created. It's completely randomly generated.
Yeah, because there's quite a lot of
the rock is placed randomly. There is a structure in there which was hand placed for now, but we're going to be building stuff like that out to place them automatically.
Yeah, if I can find
the scale is big. The scale's a lot bigger, and it just makes you feel like you're in a much bigger world. And once we start populating the world with stuff, it'll be even more varied. Right now, it's kind of like walking around on another planet where there's no plants or trees or anything. But we wanted to start from scratch with a world that felt huge and magical. So, we feel really good about it. I really like the way it looks.
Yeah, the sunrise is incredible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
man.
try to head over to the temple for the sunrise.
While we're headed to the temple, there's a question.
The day-night cycle it's really like a pretty rough first pass on it because there's not really anything in the sky at night besides stars. But we're going to be adding stuff like, cool nebulas and auroras, and the other planet in the sky that used to be in the old skybox will be there, and it will actually cast light down onto the player and stuff. So I can't wait to put that stuff in. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
And, the hope is that all this stuff starts to, all these systems are going to start building onto themselves to make the world start to feel really alive.
Oh yeah, sweet. Oh, and now that I guess it's from the shift to Unity 5, but the textures look different to me. Is that Is that true? Are the
Yeah.
materials different?
Yeah, everything is using physically based rendering, and it is just a lot fancier looking. We get a lot more out of the textures, and the lighting is just Unity 5's new lighting is just it's spectacular. So it's just so much fun to take those things and upgrade them and see them like improve and look different.
Right. Oh man.
And you could see we just pulled those rocks out of the ground. Adrian's like casting a spell on them to activate them. So they're kind of like half buried when it starts, so that the rocks aren't just roly-poly around on the world like beach balls. They feel like they're kind of embedded in the environment.
I pulled
And then
pulled too quickly.
too much.
Did you die? Did you kill yourself?
Yeah, we do. We definitely need to balance that. It's very easy to pull a rock at yourself. Write a spell that defends you from hitting yourself.
We had a question about procedurally generated worlds and whether they are different each time you run the game. Is that true?
It's not. This version is not. The way that we're currently planning on it is making a level generation tool where you'll be able to create height maps that you can pull in and then load that into the game. And that allows you to do more level editory style things. So we'll have a really cool level generator that you can set options on, and that'll generate a height map that then you can load up for your levels. And then we also want to make it so that you can pull in any height map from anything else that you might have made. If you want to make a big map with a happy face on it, you can import that into the game. So we want it goes along with what we've talked about in terms of not necessarily worrying about the game having a specific story or structure to it. It's more about just making all of the tools, and then we'll make some games within CodeSpells. We'll make some game modes, and then other people can make other game modes. So yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, we want to leave as much. We want to create fun things for the player to do within the systems, but we want to also leave a lot of room open so that people can make their own experiences and, feel like they have actually authored them. And creating the landscape will be part of it. You can roll up a random world just like you do in something like Minecraft, like the guys were saying in the Twitch stream. But also, if you wanted to have more control over it, or, height maps are great tools, and if you look into them, you discover things like DEM maps from scanned data in the real world, and you wouldn't be surprised if you could import like the woods out behind your house into the game or something like that. Be able to get at least the landscape, the terrain to be similar. So it's a cool thing that we want players to be able to mess with. And you could see there, Adrian's deforming the terrain.
Yeah.
With a spell.
It's pretty rough right now. Then there's a couple of issues that with the new version of Unity that we ran into, but there's a couple of tech issues with it, so it's a little slow. But we figured why not allow people to deform the rock. It causes a couple of issues, but we're again not super worried. If you don't want this to be allowed in your game mode, you can just turn it off. So it doesn't really affect everything. So
yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, so we get a lot of questions pretty frequently about what is the gameplay going to be like for CodeSpells. What is the game going to be like? I think none of us really envision a particular definitive, authoritative game of CodeSpells. I mean, we will certainly make some kind of game modes that we think are really fun, but we want it to be a platform for other people to do the same thing. So we want to keep it open in that sense.
Yep.
And I could definitely imagine. I could imagine whole game modes built around terraforming the terrain. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we really appreciate everyone who's been playing the game and been posting on the forums and stuff, because they're really playing the most bare bones experience, and it's just so awesome that people are using that bare bones experience to create all these really complicated and interesting things. Like the world that we're looking at now it's the most bare world. From here on out, it's just going to get more developed and more interesting with more systems layered over it, and it's just nice that people have stuck with it and played it even at this really, really basic level, because hopefully as we add more systems, there'll just be more for people to do and more for people to mess with their spells, and more stuff for people to create.
Cool.
And it's really nice that everybody's been so patient, because this stuff does take a long time to develop if we want to do it right.
Especially because we've changed directions a couple of times, and I mean, admittedly, we are a little bit behind because we decided to not go with the smaller island and make everything bigger. So we're catching up. But
so what's the theme? What's the theme for next month? What kinds of things can people expect to see in the next update?
We will definitely have water working for the next monthly update, or I will fire myself. So that there will
be water magic.
Yeah, and water flowing throughout the map with springs and all of that business going on. So that I wanted to get that done for this version, and it's close, but it's not usable in a great way yet. So
right.
that'll be the first thing we'll be tackling, and we should have that done soon. Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna slowly. We're slowly phasing out the other sandbox, and going to just use this large one. Eventually, we might have smaller ones for your game modes or whatever. But the idea is that we'll be phasing out the concept of the island being smaller and having multiple connected islands, and we're just going to have large maps. And within the large maps, we can make it have islands later on, but we're not going to separate out worlds like we were thinking. So,
right.
We will definitely have water done for the next. We'll have water flowing and stuff for the next monthly update. That's our highest priority. And then
so people will be able to build earth-based spells, so simple earth-based spells and simple water-based spells, large map, cool cloak, cool staff, time of day. That'll be some exciting stuff.
And we'll have
more fun stuff in the sky, more fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we'll keep iterating on the stuff that we have right here, but it's coming along. There's like every month. It would have been nice to get a little bit more done, but it's coming along. So,
cool. Yeah. Well, let's start taking questions in the Twitch stream. I'll let some of those pop in or give some time for that to pop in. I see one already. But I have a question first. Are we going to release the April Fool's version of CodeSpells?
I don't think so. No.
I think people may want to play it. I think it's fantastic.
I think they should get the character option maybe someday, so that they can do that whole.
I guess a little Easter egg.
Yeah. We'll set it up so that like 1 in 1,000 people gets it, so no one will know. And they'll just be forced to be that character. I don't. It's a completely separate branch, so seems like alpha testers really want it. All right, well, we'll see. I'll try to do a thing. We're releasing. So the other thing is that we are releasing this tonight, actually. So we're releasing this version tonight. It's a little buggy. There's some weird stuff going on, but all the old spells should still work. And I say that while crossing my fingers.
His name should be Blockley. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So it's getting released tonight. Let's run through some of the questions. Let's see. Do you think it would be possible to have a map where there are several planets or islands that you could travel between if the wizard was smart/powerful enough?
Yeah. So the idea is, this is a very large continuous map, but we could easily just split this off into islands. This over here is supposed to be, we haven't decided exactly what it'll be yet, but this is supposed to be some death liquid stuff where everything that falls down there dies. So if we jump down there, we die, which is not fun.
Yeah,
we had like a crazy particle going for this, but it was a little silly.
It was a little too expensive.
It was too expensive. So you could easily imagine just like having chasms and stuff between this map that would separate it out into different parts. So
that would be that would be separate islands, separate planets. I'm not sure how that would work, but I do know that we for our Minecraft servers, we allow players to warp from one server to another. So I could imagine you warp from one person's world to another. I mean, when multiplayer is actually begun, then there may be some way to do that.
And we can have different instances. We've talked to. Someone commented on tunneling, and we've talked about making caves, and the way that everything is set up is using height maps. So it's not really, I can dig into the ground, but I can't really create a cave. But we've talked about making caves in a different way, where it's kind of like an instance that you enter, like I could enter a cave over here. There'd be an entrance, and then I would load a separate simulation, and it would follow the map, but it would like tunnel through the map, and I could come out somewhere else. So you could imagine doing something similar to that for like a game mode that just has multiple worlds that do different things. Like you could chain them almost like levels.
Right.
If you want to worlds.
Yeah, we've tossed around the idea of using voxels. It's actually a topic we debate somewhat often. I love voxels, but it turns out, I mean, actually we spent a large portion of, I think it was December, trying to get voxels to work, and it just turns out that they're not quite efficient enough yet, at least in Unity, for it, us to have the other features we want in the game. But we're still we're keeping an eye on the technology, and I think voxel technology is coming along pretty fast partly because Minecraft is so popular.
Yeah. So it definitely,
it is possible.
I mean, if we went with a much more blocky thing, it would be easier. There are voxel engines that allow you to have smooth voxel terrains, but those are not good for the type of fluid things that we want to do. They don't run fluid simulations very well. But, there's always the possibility of doing something like that. It's just,
so there's a question, has anything been said about how to expand the mana pools and if that is happening? And I'm not sure what mana pools means in this context. Maybe that is the amount of mana you have?
Yeah.
I think that's what it means.
I'm not sure what the question is.
Well, I assume that in game modes you can gain more mana as you gain more experience.
Yeah, we'll open up that. I mean, you can also set how much mana you start with and everything. I think I guess this is kind of secret, but I don't think anyone I don't think anyone has discovered this, but if you go into the project files, you should be able to alter the XML files. So if someone wants to mess around with that, you should be able to change your XML, one of the XML files, I don't even remember what it's called, but you should be able to change the XML file to not to have more mana.
Cool.
And then it'll be dependent on the game mode. We'll open up those parameters to the game mode to allow you to set more mana per person and to set leveling up and stuff like that, depending on what you're doing. For some game modes, it might not make sense to level up ever, and for some, it might just be like you have to grab objects to gain mana, and it doesn't. You don't want it to refresh and go back up. So,
cool.
So
yeah, we want people to be able to control that for their game modes.
Yep.
So let's see. Can you tunnel under things, such as have air pockets underwater or caves under stand? I think that's well, right. I think we sort of answered that a little bit. I hadn't thought about water pockets underwater, air pockets underwater. But
I've thought about it a little bit, and it might be possible, but I don't know if it's. I don't know. We haven't gotten to that point. It would be a little difficult, but it might be possible to do, but I don't want to promise it right now.
Cool.
The water simulation is kind of the big task for these next few weeks, so we'll have more answers on that soon.
Will the wizard be able to grow stronger, larger as mana? Grow a stronger / larger mana pool as he completes quests? I think we did touch on that. Depends on the game mode, but I think that is definitely the natural thing that you would want.
If you're playing a game where you have a level up wizard, I mean, if you're playing a multiplayer match like Halo, the Spartans never level up. You always start kind of on the same level as everybody else. So if you wanted to make a game where you were battling each other in an arena, you wouldn't want to be able to level up. But we want people to be able to control that for the different game modes and set that for what they want to do. That all goes back to the idea that we're not making Skyrim. We're not making a giant master game that everything exists in. The games come out of the systems that we're building. So we really want people to be able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
I barely missed that shot. I wanted to land perfectly in there. Like Jason said, it'll depend on the game mode.
So when do you think LAN will be available in the game as a general range of time this year? I mean, we do have multiplayer on our schedule. I don't have the... I mean, it's actually... We're trying as hard as we can to stick to the schedule we outlined in the Kickstarter, so when...
I think the Kickstarter schedule said that it would be... Multiplayer would be early next year. One of the... Right, so one of the things that we were talking about a little bit recently was whether or not we should do life or multiplayer first. So we might put out a question to all the Kickstarter people asking whether they think we should do life or multiplayer first. But the plan currently from the Kickstarter is to have multiplayer done early next year. So the plan is first to get in September. We'll have the first sandbox version out, and that'll include all like single player stuff and some creatures, but not life magic. Just some creatures that are very simple and attack you, like the croakers. But they won't have particularly interesting behaviors, and a couple of game modes on our part, and then the ability to make your own game modes. So that'll be for September. We should have all that done, and fire, air, magic, as well as earth and water. So that'll be that version, and then we will add some community features, and then so that to make it easier to share all that stuff. soon after the September release, if not at the September release. And then we can actually piggyback off of Steam Workshop for a lot of that, so that'll simplify a lot of stuff. So we might be able to get to multiplayer a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, multiplayer won't happen for a while. So, yeah. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that we've been able to keep the schedule that we thought we would from the beginning. Mostly because we try very hard to do that, but also because we've been lucky and haven't run into any huge blockers. Like Adrian mentioned, we did take a detour so that we could make the world much bigger than we had originally imagined. But I mean, everything's still on schedule. So yeah. Unless, I mean, there are always some. Might turn out that something we thought was going to be really hard turns out to be really easy, and then we get to things like multiplayer sooner. I mean, that stuff could definitely happen.
So far, we haven't run into any of those.
Well, so we're due for one.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, so everyone can expect the release of what is on the screen right now tonight. So I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah.
And as always, we just really want to thank all of you for your support and for being excited and for your participation on the forums. And you're all awesome.
Yes. Yeah. And I wanted to comment.
Ladies and gents.
It seems that the Croaker control was originally done by Wuga Chaka. So Wuga Chaka will also contact Wuga Chaka about the monthly competition. So, yeah.
Cool.
So,
all right, we'll see all of you next week. Not next week, next month. Next month. That was another April Fool's joke.
Yes.
Next month.
Next month.
All
this month. End of this month. Sometime. Okay. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.